Shero Life podcast. I'm Burnett Sherman, your host and the creator of That Shero Life, helping women show up as Sheros in their lives with more wellness, joy, and love. Through this podcast, coaching, training, creativity, and using my creative and empathic gifts. Thank you for joining me. This is a solo episode with yours truly, your host, Burnett Sherman. I'm going to do this now and again, popping in, sharing some of my own thoughts and ideas around wellness and creating an epic life filled with more wellness, more joy, more love. So in this first mini episode, I want to ask the question, how to start a wellness journey or healthy lifestyle. And it's something that you may be asking yourself. And I want to share what I've learned since I started my own epic wellness adventure. So if you are wondering how to get started with a wellness journey or healthy lifestyle and how to keep going without giving up and whether it's even worth it, I hope this episode shows you a few things and encourages you to do it and do it now and do it for you. If you've read any of my blog posts, you know that my journey started in September of 2023. Yes. And I should say started there because, I'd done fitness in my life. I was an athlete in high school and in college. I tried to maintain a healthy lifestyle, and then the 40s came. Hello. And I found myself feeling like I was on the losing end of a tug rope battle. So I started, and it wasn't just like I said yes one day. Oh, you can always go back and read about that. But before I started exercising again, I had actually decided that I didn't like to exercise. I legitimately told someone just 2 weeks before I found myself staring at myself in the mirror, ready to make a change, that I didn't like going to the gym and I didn't like exercising. I managed to convince myself in some way that I didn't like it. That's what our minds will do to us, right? So how do you get started? If you were like me, how do you get started? You're like, I don't want to do this. It's not me. I'm never going to be in the gym. I'm never going to be sitting at home, using those stretch ropes or resistance bands or some dumbbells. How to get started with the healthy lifestyle. Maybe you don't even want to have to think about what you're eating. I know it can be very difficult getting motivation and sorting through all of the information. Most people need some very uncomfortable reason to make a lifestyle change. It shouldn't be the case, but it quite often is. So if you got a wake-up call like me and you're wondering about answering it and how, I really do hope this helps. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my own call to adventure. Like maybe the lump in my breast was motivation, or my high blood pressure, or the estrogen-fueled fibroids causing my belly to look even larger, like 4 months pregnant large. And even though they've gone down, I still don't have a 100% flat belly. Nope. Or it was the 30 pounds I put on in 3 years. Yes. What I thought was going to be COVID-19 pounds just kept creeping up. I honestly don't know how many pounds I gained in total because I would not step on the scale. I was in that much denial. I just wouldn't get on the scale until that day. And I was bordering on level 1 obesity. And maybe it was all of it, And then came the hot flushes, memory issues, speaking issues I was experiencing, and then the moodiness and worsening depression of the past few years added to that fire. I knew that if I didn't do something soon, I was going to lose myself. And I could tell from the way my family would look at me sometimes after I would say something that maybe I needed to do something. Yeah. So on September 10th, I courageously stepped on the scale for a moment of truth. I hadn't done that probably all of that year, all of 2023. I was in that much denial. So after doing it and after seeing that number, that's all recorded as part of my journey. It's on my blog. I headed to the basement and I snapped pictures. I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know. I knew I was ever going to see them, if I was going to do anything with them. I just knew I was starting something for me, and it was way past time. And that's when the motivation had to become inspiration. It was that moment of truth and being faced with the reality of my own mortality. And having spent time in the previous few weeks with the words of my new poetry journal, the Love Me Haiku Poetry Journal, that helped me shift my brain, my mindset, and get my body to just start. And that's the key. Just start. And I want to say it's okay. Start small. You say yes, you're going to do this. And it's like, okay, now what? How do I start making changes when all I see is a Mount Everest and I can barely climb the hill out of my neighborhood? Uh, or was that just me feeling intimidated walking our dog? I don't know. My answer is to start where you already are. And if you need to, start small. Those little successes yield bigger successes. For me, all I did that very first night was walk. That's it. My husband and I watched TV and I walked. I was sweating bullets like I'd run. And I was so tired, but I was proud of myself for literally just taking steps. That was the beginning. That was day one. Then I made some personal goals. I joined the gym, I installed the food tracking app, and I got a trainer. But I started small and I took steps each day towards the goal I set for myself. And I set a longer term goal. And I'm going to keep doing that so that I always have something to be working towards. Now, so once you start small and you keep going and you apply that consistency, you keep yourself in the game, your head game, your body game, your spiritual game, you keep yourself in there. You have to celebrate and recognize yourself for the small and the big wins. That's how you stay in it. It's been probably 230 something days since I started. By the time you hear this, it'll be longer since I made that decision. And I look back at myself and I honestly, I sometimes cry. Part of it is the sadness that for that woman who almost wasn't where I am today. And then most of it is this joy and this love and this purpose that is almost unexplainable. And it replaced this feeling of being lost and this general sense of unhappiness with my life and what I was doing with it. And even now, I still shed a few tears of happiness and gratitude that she, the me of 7+ months ago, said yes to her call to adventure. I am so grateful for her for doing that because I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you through this podcast if she hadn't said yes. So thank you, girl. That woman would also be cheering on her future self, which is the woman I am today. I share this as encouragement. You can do hard things. You can start small. You can create something new that you will be proud of, whether looking forward or looking back. By starting where I was in my body with the physical, I was able to change so much more. My mind, my spirit are also better, stronger. The same can be true for you. And maybe you're in your mind, and that's where you start. And I say I started in my body, but it was really this this kind of cyclical thing. There was mind healing. I was doing the Love Me Poetry Journal, and that was part mind, part spirit. I was doing spiritual healing while I'm, thinking about how to put this book together. And so those pieces were coming together, and I'm receiving the message as I do so, right? So I'm receiving the message of the poems I've written to give to other people, and I'm the one receiving the benefit. So it was helping the mind and the spirit at the same time. I started doing my Duolingo, which was also a mental aspect. And so I was doing these other things. And so when that moment came for me to say yes to the adventure, I'd already started working on some other things to start building some habits and start shifting the mind. But if you've ever read or watched a a story with the Shiro's journey, or in our culture, it's often called the hero's journey. If you've ever watched that, you know that when they go on their adventure, there are always aspects of the body, the mind, and the spirit. They have to journey through all of those. They have to make progress and transformation in all those areas. I'm no different. It is very likely that to have the level of life adventure and create that epic life that you probably want, even if we can't speak it out loud when we're in a place that feels so far from it, you got to connect all three. It's like the Holy Trinity. But they're all started coming together, and I was stronger in all of them. And the same can be true for you. So what is the epic life? What's it mean for you? What's the one that you want to create? What is the level of health and wellness you want to create? What's that future version of you looking like, feeling like, living like? What kind of Shiro are you? And how do you leverage your strengths and your gifts to get there? Better than ever before, I understand what's important to me now, what epic life I'm creating, and both how I will get there and how I won't get there. And as a woman approaching 50, honey, it's time for me. In fact, it is way past time to do this. I know that's true for myself, and whether you are in your 30s, whether you're in your 40s, whether in your 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, I don't care. You are still here, which means you still have time, you still have opportunity, you still have life. So I'm asking, what will you create? What about you? I'd love to know your thoughts and comments on this. What about you? What questions do you have? And if you're not a part of my Epic Living for Midlife Women and Beyond group on Facebook, join the group. I'm always dropping information in there, helpful tips and resources, and it's free. Join the group, join the conversation, get support, join the community, because it's about that. And I'll see you next week, Thursday. I'll have a guest back with me on that episode, and we're going to be chatting it up. All right. Keep living that Shiro life. Create one for yourself that reflects the you want to be. Take care.